What a week, huh? What a week, huh? I know nothing about astrology, but know a few people that do, and something about the full moon last night. Full moon in Scorpio, I think. I have no idea what that means. If you do, you can share it in the comments or something. All I know is what a fucking week. Huh? What a fucking week. Man. I see here where you are right now, you've gained some clarity on something, right? Yeah. You've gained some clarity on something, and you are protecting the things that you find important to you. You're protecting with the Seven of Swords here, right? You're taking what's good for you and you're leaving the rest, right? It is a, like, sorry about that. A little bit of an interruption there. Where you're at is because you've had some kind of clarity. You're in a very discerning type of energy, right? You're taking what you know is good for you and you're leaving the rest, right? You're leaving the rest. You have the Nine of Wands, Seven of Cups, Nine of Pentacles, and the Devil. Yeah, you've had some clarity on what you bring to the table. You've had some clarity on what you've done. You've had some clarity on what you've been able to accomplish. What you've been able to do, you know? I can't tell you what that is. But what I see is that you're defending it. You're defending it with everything you got, right? Yeah, you're leaving what's not good for you, and you're taking the rest with you. And kind of hearing you're moving in silence too. You're moving more quietly than you have before. You're less vocal about what you have going on, about your successes right now, even your failures right now. You're not sharing as much of your life with people that you don't feel comfortable sharing it with, which is a good energy to be in. I think you're in kind of maybe a pessimistic type of energy too. You've had this clarity that everything isn't always sunshine and rainbows. You've stepped more into this King of Swords type of energy. ruling with an intelligence and a knowledge, and living your life with a knowledge that everything is not always okay, and that sometimes hard decisions need to be made for the betterment of yourself or the world at large, right? Yeah. So you're in this slightly, maybe not even slightly, you're in a pessimistic energy, which depends on the extent of that, right? But that came out, the Ten of Cups coming out in the position of what you need to let go of. Toxic positivity is a real problem. It's very, very harmful. Like, if you just believe, right, that if you just believe that if you see absolutely the best in every situation, if you see that every person has the capacity for good, if you see that, if you just pray and hope that the world will find a better way forward, if you just believe that that will cause any real change, you're an idiot. Sorry, you're an idiot. You need to believe that the world can change, right? You can't lose hope. You can't think that nothing is ever going to change, that nothing can change. You need to believe that change can happen, but you need to realize that things need to happen for things to change. Change does not happen randomly. Change does not happen without catalysts. You're realizing that you don't have everything that you need. You don't have everything that you want. But you're realizing that you don't need it necessarily, right? You're realizing that you can be grateful and happy with what you have, and also strive for more, right? You don't have to reject everything that you currently have to find yourself in a better life. But what you have been doing is leaving things that no longer serve you, right? Leaving things that don't matter to you anymore, things that don't help you anymore, and in quite a ruthless way. And absolutely, I mean, I see that taking some of this away, right? Some of this Nine of Swords, some of this, the worry that keeps you up at night. When you start making progress, that starts to go away. When you start leaving things behind that really don't serve you, when you start really taking steps towards a future that you want to see, you know, the things that keep you up at night, they have less of a hold on you, because you know you're trying, you know you're moving the right way. You know you're pouring into yourself by cutting out things that don't belong, right? You're in a very self-serving energy right now. And it seems like that's actually where you're supposed to be. There's a kind of transition period between how do I explain this? There's a transition period between when you're giving a lot to things and when you realize that you're giving to the wrong things, right? Because when you realize you're giving to the wrong things, there's a period where you do have to be kind of ruthless and cut things off, cut people off, cut energies off, cut things out of your life. And however you end up doing that, you might be worried about being left out in the cold. Or you're worried that doing this will make people feel left out in the cold. Either way, yes. Um, either way, yes. There might be a period of time where you feel left out in the cold. If you're cutting people off, there will be a period of time where they feel left out in the cold. But the reality of the situation is you're not being unfair. You are trying to build a better life for yourself. And I'm not like, be kind to people, okay? Be kind to people. Don't like it depends, right? It depends a lot on the situation. Look at everything through a lens of try to make your action have the least negative impact that it can, right? Once you realize there's an action that you have to take, try to find the way that it creates the least amount of negative impact on another person's life or other people's lives, right? Sometimes an apology is just for you. Sometimes an apology is just for you, and it only makes the other person feel worse. Sometimes people are owed an apology. Sometimes people are owed an explanation. That situation to situation and how you feel and how you're guided to move and how you want to live your life, right? I've left people with no warning. But I've only done that for situations where there wasn't anything happening anyway, right? Like, we never talked. There wasn't there's no communication. There was no depth to it. There was nothing. It was just a surface level whatever. So it's just like, an explanation would only make me feel better. Yeah. And sometimes you don't have a relationship with someone where you feel comfortable giving them an explanation, right? Where you're like, hey, I'm trying to improve my life. Think about saying that to someone, right? I'm trying to improve my life, and I found that you add no value to my life, so I'm leaving. That would suck to hear. It might be the truth, and you shouldn't feel bad for feeling that way. But the other person does not need to know that. You do not need to say that out loud to them, ever. Yeah. It is... Yeah. A lot of people say that we teach people how to love us, right? And to an extent, that's true. Absolutely. To an extent, that is true. We teach people how to love us by how we treat ourselves, right? But that's very much a part of the, very communal, a kind of illusion that says that everything that happens to you is your fault. You have to take accountability for things. But you also have to realize some people just suck. Some people don't know how to love. Some people don't know how to love people. Some people have never felt love in their entire lives. Some people have never been capable of giving love. There are people in this world like that, and if you blame yourself for their lack of ability, for their lack of their lack of vision, their lack of purpose, their lack of ability to add anything meaningful to your life. If you blame yourself for that, that seems really, really unkind to yourself, right? And it's unrealistic, right? There are just some people you don't want in your life, right? Like, if you say we teach people how to love us, right? If you say, if someone treats you wrong, I mean, we treat people how to love us, okay? So what does that mean? That whether consciously or not, whenever you show interest or someone and get into a relationship with someone, it is 100% your fault if they don't love you correctly. If they aren't capable of doing that, if they, and to a certain extent, communication is very important. It is. But there's also a level where communication is very important, but there's also a level where you should not have to say every little thing that you need. There should be some level of give and take. There should be some level of the person trying to figure out how to make you happy if they actually care about you, if they want something to succeed, right? And I think that's kind of where that illusion comes in, is some people just don't want to love you. Some people just don't want to make you feel good. Some people just don't want to care about you, right? And that isn't your fault. That is not your fault at all. But if someone cares about you and wants to be with you and wants to make you feel good, then yeah, you should try to help them figure out how to do that, right? You should help them out. And they should do the same for you. All of this to say, you're in a place where you found some clarity in what you're looking for, and what you don't have, and you're taking steps, clearing up space for things that actually serve you to come in, right? For things that actually light up your world to come in. And you're sitting in discernment, in understanding that not everything is on your shoulders, that the world is a cruel and unpredictable place at times, and all you can do is sit strong, hold your sword up, and do the best that you can along the way. Be the most honorable that you can. Show up in the most authentic way that you can. Show up in the most fair way that you can, right? And that's all anyone should really ever ask of you, is to do the best that you can and be the most kind that you can and do what you think is right. Maybe along the way you'll learn that what you thought was right wasn't actually right. But you learn from that and you move on. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be anyone that you can never be. That's from a song, Talk to Me by Cavetown. Maybe that means something to you. Maybe just give it a listen. Talk to Me by Cavetown. I'm going to leave this one here. Thank you for watching. I hope it helped you in some way. See you in the next one.